The Book Essence Podcast, Episode 14, The Total Money Makeover.
Welcome to your deep dive. We're diving into your notes on Dave Ramsey's The Total Money Makeover today. You've flagged some intriguing sections and questions, so let's extract those core principles, add a layer of analysis, and hopefully uncover some aha moments for you.
What I find fascinating about Ramsey, is that he tackles personal finance as a behavior change challenge first and foremost. It's not so much about complex investment strategies,
Right.
as it is about understanding the psychology of money and mastering your habits.
You've highlighted this story in your notes about this couple, Sarah and John. They seemed financially stable until an unexpected job loss just threw their world into chaos.
Oh, yeah.
Their experience seems to illustrate Ramsey's point about denial being a major obstacle to financial health.
Absolutely. Ramsey argues that many people are living in a state of denial about their financial situations, just like Sarah and John. They might feel like they're doing okay because they can keep up with their bills, but they're often just one unexpected event away from a crisis.
Yeah. It's like that saying, average is broke. Just because everyone else is struggling doesn't mean it's a healthy place to be.
Precisely. And Ramsey's analogy of the frog in boiling water is pretty apt. The problem of debt often creeps up slowly, and people become accustomed to the increasing heat until it's too late.
So how do we break free from that denial and start facing our financial realities? What are some of those normal habits we need to ditch?
Well, Ramsey tackles a lot of common money myths head on.
Uh-oh.
One that really jumps out is his view on debt. He argues that all debt is risky, comparing borrowers to slaves to their lenders.
Wow.
He doesn't even buy the concept of good debt.
Oh, interesting.
Mortgages, student loans, it's all a liability in his view.
That's pretty strong language.
Yeah.
But it does challenge the way most people think about debt, especially those good debt rationalizations we all use.
Right. And there's an interesting behavioral economics principle at play here.
Okay.
Ramsey argues that lenders use the idea of good debt to frame borrowing in a positive light, making it more palatable for consumers.
So it's not just about understanding interest rates in loan terms, it's about recognizing the psychological influence behind these messages.
Exactly. And once you start to see debt for what it is, a liability that can limit your choices and create financial stress, you can start to shift your mindset.
In your notes, you highlighted another myth that Ramsey debunks, the idea that a high credit score equals financial health. Can you unpack that for us?
Ramsey argues that your credit score is just a measure of how well you play the debt game. It doesn't reflect your net worth, your savings, or your ability to manage money responsibly. It simply shows how good you are at borrowing and repaying.
That's a perspective you don't often hear in the mainstream financial advice world.
He goes even further.
Yeah.
He compares the pursuit of a high credit score to this monkey experiment,
Okay.
where monkeys were punished for reaching for bananas, and even when new monkeys were introduced who hadn't experienced the punishment, they still avoided the bananas because the group reinforced that behavior.
Yeah.
He suggests we blindly chase credit scores because that's what society tells us to do, without questioning whether it's truly beneficial.
So we're like those monkeys, accepting debt as normal because everyone else is doing it. It's a powerful analogy.
And it highlights the need to break free from that groupthink and develop our own critical thinking skills when it comes to personal finance.
So we've got the denial, the debt myths. What other hurdles are standing in our way on this path to a total money makeover?
Ramsey highlights financial ignorance as a major obstacle.
Okay.
He contends that most people simply don't understand how money works. They fall for get-rich-quick schemes, believe that more money equals wealth, or fail to grasp basic concepts like compound interest.
And you've actually highlighted a section in your notes where you're asking for a deeper explanation of how compound interest actually works.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a crucial concept to understand.
Yeah.
Compound interest is essentially earning interest on your interest.
Okay.
Imagine you invest $100 and it earns 10% interest. The next year, you'll have $110. But here's the key. You'll then earn 10% interest on that $110, not just your original $100.
I see.
Over time, this snowball effect can create significant growth.
So the longer your money is invested, the more powerful this compounding effect becomes.
Exactly. And that's why Ramsey stresses the importance of starting to invest early, even if you can only afford small amounts.
Right.
Time is your greatest ally when it comes to building wealth.
Okay, so we need to overcome denial, ditch the debt myths, and combat financial ignorance. What's next?
Ramsey identifies another major hurdle: keeping up with the Joneses. It's that age-old trap of comparing ourselves to others and feeling pressured to spend money we don't have to buy things we don't need.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, especially with social media constantly bombarding us with images of everyone else's seemingly perfect lives. I'll admit, I've definitely been guilty of feeling that pressure myself.
It's a human tendency, but Ramsey reminds us that those Joneses are probably drowning in debt themselves. He challenges us to define our own version of success and focus on our own financial goals, not what others are doing.
You specifically highlighted a quote in your notes where Ramsey says, "We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like." It's a bit harsh, but definitely thought-provoking.
It's about recognizing that true contentment comes from within,
Right.
not from material possessions or external validation.
Okay, I'm ready to hear about the actual plan. We've identified the hurdles. Now, how do we overcome them and achieve this total money makeover? What's the first step?
Ramsey lays out a clear path to financial freedom with his famous baby steps. And it all starts with building a $1,000 starter emergency fund. That initial emergency fund, it's all about creating a buffer, a small safety net to help you avoid going further into debt when those unexpected expenses pop up. It's about stopping the bleeding, so to speak.
That makes sense, but why just $1,000? Doesn't seem like much in the grand scheme of things.
It's a psychologically powerful starting point. Ramsey emphasizes that this first step is about gaining momentum and proving to yourself that you can take control of your finances. He wants you to experience a quick win, and $1,000 is an achievable goal for most people, even if it requires some sacrifice or creative hustling.
You've mentioned selling items or taking on a side gig in your notes, even using the term gazelle intensity. I'm sensing a theme here. It's not just about budgeting. It's about a mindset shift.
Exactly. It's about attacking this goal with focused energy and determination. Ramsey believes that achieving this first baby step can have a transformative effect, boosting your confidence and setting the stage for bigger wins down the road.
So we've got that starter emergency fund in place. Now we're ready to tackle the big one, debt. You've highlighted the debt snowball method in your notes and seem particularly interested in the psychology behind it.
It's a brilliant strategy, in my opinion. Instead of focusing on paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first, which might seem logical from a purely mathematical perspective, Ramsey advocates for tackling the smallest debt first, regardless of interest.
So you list all your debts from smallest to largest and throw every extra dollar you can at that smallest one until it's gone. Then you roll that payment amount into the next smallest debt and so on. It's like creating a snowball effect, gaining momentum as you go.
Precisely. And while this approach might not save you the most money in interest payments over the long run, Ramsey argues that the psychological benefits outweigh the mathematical disadvantages.
It's interesting because there's actually quite a bit of research in behavioral economics that supports this idea. Small wins trigger the release of dopamine in our brains, which creates a feeling of pleasure and motivates us to keep going.
That's exactly what the debt snowball leverages. Those quick wins create a sense of accomplishment, build momentum, and keep you motivated to stay on track, even when the journey feels long.
So it's not just about crunching numbers. It's about understanding how our brains work and using those insights to our advantage.
Right. It's about hacking your own psychology to create positive financial habits.
Okay, I'm sold on the debt snowball method. So let's say we've diligently followed the first two baby steps. We've got our starter emergency fund, and we've knocked out all our debt except for the mortgage. What's next on this journey?
Now it's time to build a bigger, more robust safety net, a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of living expenses.
Okay, that makes sense. We're talking about a much larger emergency fund now. Why is this step so crucial?
Think of it as insurance against life's unexpected events. Job loss, medical emergencies, major car repairs, a sudden leaky roof. These things happen, and they can derail your financial progress if you're not prepared.
It seems like you're emphasizing preparedness and peace of mind here.
Exactly. Having this fully funded emergency fund provides a sense of security, knowing that you can weather those financial storms without going back into debt. It's about having options and freedom.
You've mentioned in your notes that you're wondering how much to keep in this emergency fund. Is 3 months enough? Or should you aim for the full 6?
That's a great question, and it depends on your individual situation and risk tolerance. If you have a stable job, a predictable income, and a relatively low-risk lifestyle, 3 months might be sufficient. But if your income is irregular, you're self-employed, or you have a high-risk job, 6 months might be a wiser target.
So more cushion for those who need it most. And where should this emergency fund be kept? You've highlighted this in your notes as well.
It needs to be accessible, but not too easily accessible. A high-yield savings account or a money market account strikes a good balance. These accounts typically offer a higher interest rate than traditional checking accounts, but your money isn't tied up in investments that could fluctuate in value.
Got it. Safety, liquidity, and a little bit of growth potential. But this money isn't meant for investing. It's for emergencies only.
Precisely. It's your financial safety net there to protect you when those unexpected events inevitably occur.
Okay, debt-free, except the mortgage, and fully funded emergency fund in place, we're making serious progress on this total money makeover. What's the next step on this ladder to financial freedom?
Now it's time to shift our focus to the future and start maximizing retirement investing. Ramsey recommends investing 15% of your household income into retirement accounts once you've reached this stage.
This is where it gets interesting for a lot of people, myself included. Retirement planning can feel daunting and abstract, especially when you're younger and retirement seems so far away. Why is it so crucial to start early, even if you can only invest small amounts?
It all comes down to the power of compound interest. And you've actually flagged a section in your notes where you're asking for a more detailed explanation of how compound interest works its magic.
It's one of those concepts that I understand on a basic level, but I'd love to hear you break it down in a way that really drives home its significance.
Imagine you invest $1,000 today, and it earns a 7% annual return. After a year, you've earned $70 in interest. But here's where the magic happens to it. The next year, you're earning 7% on $1,070, not just your original $1,000. That means you'll earn $74.90 in interest that year. And as the years go by, this compounding effect continues to snowball, creating exponential growth.
So the earlier you start, the more time your money has to benefit from this compounding effect.
Precisely. Even small amounts invested consistently over time can grow into significant sums. It's like planting a tree. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today.
That's a great analogy. And you've mentioned that Ramsey recommends investing 15% of your household income. That might seem like a big chunk for some people, especially when there are so many other demands on our finances.
It might seem daunting, but remember, at this point in the baby steps, you've eliminated your consumer debt and built up your emergency fund, so you should have more control over your cash flow. And that 15% should come after you've taken care of your essential expenses and built your emergency fund.
So it's not about depriving yourself, it's about prioritizing your future financial security.
Exactly. And remember, this is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. You can adjust your investment contributions as your income and expenses change over time. The key is to start early and stay consistent.
Okay, that makes it seem a bit more manageable. So where should this 15% be invested? You flagged several investment vehicles in your notes, including 401k, Roth IRAs, and mutual funds. Can you walk us through Ramsey's recommended approach?
Ramsey lays out a specific plan for maximizing your retirement investing. He suggests starting with your employer's 401k or 403b plan, especially if they offer a matching contribution. That's essentially free money you don't want to leave on the table.
Free money is always a good thing. But what about those of us who are self-employed or don't have access to an employer-sponsored plan?
In those cases, Ramsey recommends a Roth IRA. It's a tax-advantaged retirement account that allows your investments to grow tax-free, meaning you won't owe any taxes on your earnings when you withdraw them in retirement.
That sounds like a pretty sweet deal. What are the contribution limits for Roth IRAs?
For 2023, the contribution limit is $6,500 or $7,500 if you're age 50 or older. And once you've maxed out your Roth IRA contributions for the year, you can go back to your 401k or 403b and invest more until you hit that 15% target.
So it's a tiered approach, maximizing those tax-advantaged accounts to the fullest. But what about the actual investments within those accounts? You've highlighted mutual funds in your notes and seem particularly interested in Ramsey's recommendations.
Ramsey is a big advocate for good growth stock mutual funds. He believes these funds offer the best balance of risk and reward for long-term growth.
What are growth stock mutual funds exactly, and how do they differ from other types of mutual funds?
A growth stock mutual fund invests in companies that are expected to grow at an above-average rate. These companies tend to reinvest their profits back into the business to fuel further growth, rather than paying dividends.
So they're a bit riskier than, say, a fund that invests in established dividend-paying companies, but they also have the potential for higher returns over the long term.
Exactly. And that aligns with Ramsey's philosophy of long-term buy-and-hold investing. He's not a fan of trying to time the market or pick individual stocks. He advocates for choosing a few good mutual funds with solid track records and sticking with them through the ups and downs of the market.
So patience and consistency are key here. No get-rich-quick schemes or chasing the latest hot stock tip.
Right. It's about making informed investment decisions based on solid principles and then letting time and compound interest work their magic.
Okay, I'm feeling more confident about retirement planning now. We've tackled the debt, built our emergency fund, and are on track with retirement investing. What's next on this journey?
Well, now that we've got our own financial house in order, Ramsey turns his attention to the next generation and the often daunting challenge of college funding.
This is a topic that weighs heavily on the minds of many parents, especially with the rising cost of college tuition these days. What's Ramsey's approach to tackling this challenge?
One thing he emphasizes right off the bat is that parents should not sacrifice their own financial future to pay for their children's college education. He believes it's crucial to prioritize your own retirement savings and financial stability first. You can't effectively help your kids if you're struggling financially yourself.
That makes sense. It's like the oxygen mask analogy on an airplane. You have to put your own mask on first before you can help others.
Exactly. And just like with debt, Ramsey challenges the conventional wisdom about student loans. He believes that a college degree should not come at the cost of decades of crippling debt.
So how does he suggest approaching college costs without resorting to massive student loans?
He recommends starting early with college savings, utilizing tax-advantaged accounts like 529 college savings plans and Coverdell education savings accounts, ESAs. But he stresses that these savings should only come after you've addressed your own financial health, meaning you're debt-free, have a fully funded emergency fund, and are on track with your retirement investing.
So it's about following those baby steps in order not jumping ahead or trying to tackle everything at once.
Right. It's a systematic approach to building financial stability step by step.
But saving is just one part of the equation. What about choosing affordable colleges, applying for scholarships, working part-time jobs? How does Ramsey factor those strategies into his plan?
He's a big proponent of those strategies. He encourages parents to have open and honest conversations with their kids about college affordability, involving them in the decision-making process and emphasizing the importance of financial responsibility.
So it's a team effort, a collaborative approach that involves the whole family.
Exactly. He also suggests considering alternatives to traditional four-year universities, such as community college or trade schools, which can often provide a more affordable path to a fulfilling career.
It's about exploring all the options and choosing a path that aligns with your child's interests and financial realities.
Right. And remember, the goal is to avoid burdening your children with a mountain of student loan debt that could hinder their financial future.
Okay, I'm seeing a bigger picture here. It's about empowering our children to make informed decisions about their education and their finances. So we've got the debt, the emergency fund, retirement savings, and college funding all under control. What's next on this journey to a total money makeover?
This next baby step might seem a bit radical to some, but it's a cornerstone of Ramsey's philosophy, paying off your home mortgage early.
Wait, really? I thought a mortgage was considered good debt, the kind that helps you build equity and provides tax benefits. Why would you want to pay it off early?
That's the conventional wisdom, but Ramsey challenges that notion. He argues that being completely debt-free, even your mortgage, is the ultimate financial freedom. He points out that while a mortgage might have a lower interest rate than other types of debt, it's still a significant liability that can, weigh you down financially and emotionally.
You've highlighted a quote in your notes where Ramsey says, "A paid-for house is a big, giant middle finger to the world." It's certainly a provocative way to put it.
He's definitely not known for mincing words. But I think the underlying message is about empowerment. It's about taking control of your biggest asset and freeing yourself from that monthly payment obligation.
So it's not just about the financial benefits, it's about the psychological and emotional freedom that comes with owning your home outright.
Precisely. And there are some tangible financial benefits as well. For starters, there's the obvious, no more house payments. That frees up a significant chunk of your income to invest, give, or simply enjoy.
That would certainly open up a lot of possibilities. What other financial benefits does Ramsey highlight?
Well, there's the reduced risk factor. If you lose your job or face unexpected medical bills, you don't have to worry about losing your home if it's paid off. It provides a sense of security and peace of mind that's hard to put a price tag on.
It's like having an extra layer of financial armor protecting you from life's curveballs.
And let's not forget about the substantial savings on interest payments. Over the life of a 30-year mortgage, you can end up paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. Paying it off early saves you a fortune.
I've actually done some calculations based on my own mortgage, and the numbers are pretty eye-opening. It's amazing how much money goes towards interest in those early years.
It's a powerful motivator to accelerate your payoff plan. And once that mortgage is gone, you have so much more financial flexibility. You can invest more aggressively, knowing that you don't have that big monthly payment looming over you.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal of becoming mortgage-free sooner rather than later, but how do you actually make that happen? It's not like most people have hundreds of thousands of dollars lying around.
It takes commitment and a plan, but it's definitely achievable. Ramsey suggests several strategies, such as making extra principal payments each month, even if it's just a small amount.
So even an extra $50 or $100 a month can make a difference.
Absolutely. Over time, those small extra payments can shave years off your mortgage and save you a significant amount of money in interest. It's the power of consistency and compounding at work again.
What about those who are just starting out with a mortgage? Any advice for them?
Ramsey's a big advocate for 15-year fixed-rate mortgages instead of the traditional 30-year loans. The payments are higher, but you pay it off much faster and save a substantial amount on interest. He also suggests using any windfalls, like bonuses, tax refunds, or inheritance money, to make lump sum payments towards your principal.
So it's about being strategic and finding creative ways to accelerate your payoff plan.
Right. And of course, living below your means throughout this entire process is essential. The less you spend, the more you can put towards your mortgage.
It's all interconnected. These baby steps build upon each other, creating a virtuous cycle of financial progress.
Exactly. Okay, so you're debt-free, including your mortgage. You've got a fully funded emergency fund. You're investing 15% for retirement, and you've taken care of college savings. What happens next? What's the final baby step?
I'm sensing a theme of freedom and abundance here. Is it time to finally enjoy the fruits of our labor?
You got it. The final baby step is to build wealth and give like crazy.
I love that. It's not just about accumulating wealth for yourself. It's about using it to make a difference in the world.
Ramsey believes that true financial freedom comes not just from having money, but from having the ability to use it for good, to support causes you're passionate about, to help others in need, and to leave a lasting legacy.
It's a beautiful concept. What does this wealth-building phase look like in practice? Is it simply about investing more money?
It's about continuing to live below your means, even though you could technically afford to splurge. It's about staying disciplined with your spending and investing wisely in things like mutual funds, real estate, and other diversified assets.
So we're talking about building generational wealth, creating a financial legacy that extends beyond ourselves.
Exactly. It's about using your financial resources to make a positive impact on the world and on the lives of those around you.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into Dave Ramsey's The Total Money Makeover. We've covered a lot of ground, from confronting denial and busting debt myths to those 7 baby steps that pave the path to financial freedom.
It's been a pleasure exploring these concepts with you. What stands out to you as the most impactful takeaway from this deep dive?
For me, it's the emphasis on the psychological and emotional aspects of money management. It's not just about numbers and spreadsheets. It's about understanding our own behaviors and motivations and developing healthy habits that support our financial goals.
That's a great insight. And it reinforces the idea that anyone can achieve financial freedom, regardless of their income or background, if they're willing to commit to this process.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that financial freedom isn't about deprivation. It's about reaching a point where you have the resources and the freedom to live a truly meaningful life, a life filled with purpose, generosity, and abundance.
One final thought to leave you with. Imagine the possibilities if everyone embraced these principles of financial responsibility and generosity. What kind of impact could we have on our families, our communities, and the world if we all prioritized financial well-being and used our resources to make a positive difference?
That's a powerful vision to strive for. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.